going on, guys? Welcome to the early preview for Week 8 in the NFL. Didn't get to do it at my usual time today, so I apologize a little bit late. Had something come up in the morning, but here we are Tuesday evening getting ready to go through the entire slate for Week 8. If you're new to this channel, my name is Jeff with Lock and Cash Sports, and we're going to go through the entire slate. We're going to be doing this every week for the rest of the season. Last week, Week 7, I told you guys that I thought it was a very difficult slate with a lot of tricky spots, and I was going to be very cautious and selective. Only had 4 plays on Sunday, ended up 2-2. Really, the swing play was the Dolphins, +3, which I thought they should have won that game, but they ended up blowing it, lots of turnovers. We did go 2-0 on Thursday, and then we did have a nice Monday Night Football with the 2 games there with the props. So we had the Ravens first half. So we ended up taking a little bit of green on the week, which I'm happy with because I thought it was the toughest week of the season so far. Good news is I think Week 8's a lot easier. So I've got some spots that I do lean strongly to that we'll go through. And I think just overall, it's just there's better betting opportunities on the board this week. So let's get right into it. Let's start off Thursday Night Football. The Vikings taking on the Rams. Minnesota laying 3 on the road, pretty much across the board here. Total sitting at, what is it at right now? 46 and a half. The interesting thing about this game is the Vikings looked like they initially took money, right? They hit -3.5 in certain areas. Total also went up. I think it hit 48 at one point. And then there was instant buyback on the Rams at 3.5, bringing this back down. And you can even now find a couple of 2.5s out there, which is crazy to me. I'm going to go through why I think it's crazy. Obviously, very different Sundays for these two teams. The Vikings lose a very close game to the Lions. I liked the Lions in that game, but I didn't love the spot for them. We ended up teasing them. That worked out. But they do get the outright win, a very impressive outright win for Detroit. And that's just a great team. That's a tough loss for Minnesota to get your first loss that way to a divisional opponent, but that's a really good team. The Rams, they beat the Raiders, but I was going to say survive. They didn't really survive, but it wasn't really an impressive win. I think if Vegas has any kind of competent quarterback play in that game, they probably could have stolen that one. Minshew makes a couple of boneheaded plays, as he usually does. High variance quarterback basically gives that game away. Or the chance to tie that game later, be in that game. But it was not really an impressive win. You know, the Raiders defense did a good job against the Rams. The Rams were coming out of their bye week, so they had extra prep time, extra rest. Not really that impressive to me. And I just think that really encapsulates what this Rams team is all about this year. They're just not a very good team. I don't have, I know obviously a few years removed from a Super Bowl win, Stafford's still a good quarterback, but is he now at this stage of his career a top 10 quarterback? Probably not. And they don't really have many. I know they should get cut back, but other than him, not a lot of great weapons, not a great defense, not a great offensive line. I think lots of concerns for LA in this particular matchup, especially getting a Minnesota team that, listen, whatever you could say whatever you want before the season started about their win total. They weren't expected to be good. The bottom line is we have 6 weeks. We have 6-game sample size of this team playing incredibly well, and their one loss was in a very close game to a divisional opponent that's arguably, I wouldn't even say arguably, they are the best team in the NFC right now, maybe arguably in the NFL. I have them, in terms of my power ratings, I have Detroit right at the top, tied with Baltimore. So arguably the best team in the league. You drop a very close game to. No shame in that. I like this matchup for the Vikings. I think this line being at 2.5 is really odd to me. I could tell you guys that I've got this at 4.5 per my power ratings. If you follow me on X, guys, at Lock and Cash over on Twitter X, I posted my power ratings on there. I mean, I've got this at 5.5, and then adjust for home field. I give the Rams a point for home field. It's not a strong home field. So I've got this line at 4.5. And even if you go a little bit further, what are you going to make it 4? I can get to 2.5 here. So I like the Vikings in this game. It's nothing on the total here for me, but I just think, man, I know this seems like one of those tricky spots, but the Rams are just not very good. And I don't really see now you have this thing come out today about this rumor of Darnold being traded for Stafford. Now, why the heck would that come out now? And why would the Vikings in their right mind do that? You're 5-1. This guy and Darnold has played great this year. I don't have any clue why you would do that. I actually think you would downgrade the offense by doing that because they have such a rapport now. They've played really well together. Just makes a lot of fishy stuff about this game to me. Makes no sense. But I like Minnesota. I've already sent it out. I played it. So, just kind of interesting to me. I guess the narratives, the storylines around this game. Now the trade rumor, the line movement very weird game here on Thursday Night Football. So I'm going to be super locked into this one and fascinated to see how the Vikings respond after getting their first loss, because I don't think this is a fluky, their 5-0 was a very convincing 5-0. You want to say they're going to be due for some regression? Sure. That could come at any time, but was it going to come against this kind of team and this kind of matchup? I don't think so. On a short week, you got McVay on one side, but man, the Vikings are really well coached. I lean Minnesota in this game. We'll see where it goes, but I've got the Vikings here covering the spread. Very interesting game, though. A banger to start off the week. All right, Sunday, headed over to Sunday. The Titans taking on the Lions. This line has seen a lot of fluctuation as well. Tennessee now catching 11 on the road. Total's at 46. Total's been ticked up. Also was at 45 earlier today. I see a little bit of value here on Detroit in terms of just a numbers play, but I can't bet this. The spot's not good for them. They're now off of a couple of back-to-back really, really crazy wins. The blowout over Dallas, the big divisional win on the road against Minnesota. I definitely think they win this game, but I could see them, kind of playing with their food here a little bit and taking it easy against the Titans, who are just pathetic. I mean, I've got this at 12, so this would have to be 10.5 for me to play this, but I just don't have any interest in playing this game. I want to try to avoid, if I'm going to be selective, avoid these situational spots that could be a little bit shaky. The Titans were getting 9.5 last week. Sharp side, a bunch of systems on them. Look what happened. They go up 10-0 against Baltimore, and they just get routed for the rest of the game, never even come close to a cover. So I have no interest in the Titans, whether it's Rudolph, whether it's Levis. I don't care. This is, in my opinion, I can tell you right now, if I open up my power ratings, bottom 3, bottom 4 team, I've got, Carolina is the worst team, New England, and then you've got Tennessee. So now that Tua's back with Miami, you got to bump them back up. Tennessee is a bottom 3 football team. The Lions probably take this and run away with it, but just because of the situational spot and them coming off of the type of win that they just had, I would just avoid it. But overall, this is a Lions game. I'm not touching this game. No interest there for me on that one. Okay. Colts versus the Texans. Indianapolis on the road, headed to Houston. This line is now sitting at 5.5. Let's see if I switch to other books. What else can you get? Yeah, there's a couple of 6s out there, which is where I would recommend this. If you like Indy, got to get the 6 here. Don't take the 5.5. These are two teams that have played each other very closely in the division in the AFC South. This hasn't been one-sided at all. The Colts have been able to hang. I mean, go back to week 1. The Colts were a 3-point dog at home. They were actually one of our picks that week. They lose by 2, I believe it was, so they covered that spread. But they always seem to play the Texans really well. And I think, I'm not a big – listen, I faded the Colts now 2 weeks in a row with 2 picks that I thought absolutely were the right side and should have cashed. The Titans last week and the Dolphins this week, who both outplayed them in the game and just simply came down to turnovers late and could not make a play late. That's essentially what it came down to. So I've got the Colts on regression watch as a team that I think they've got some fluky wins, and I don't think they're really as good as their record would suggest. But in the same breath, Houston has been unimpressive, flat out, offensively without Nico Collins now. And I think you have enough. I think me personally, I've seen enough of Houston to know that they're not great at covering these large spreads. Now, they covered one at New England, the -7, but New England, again, is a bottom of the barrel team, the second worst team, in my opinion, in the NFL, arguably the worst team in the NFL. So I can't really put much into that, right? You win that game big. They were a 6-point favorite against the Bears this year, didn't cover. Now a 6-point favorite against the Colts. I think this is just one of those classic divisional matchups that'll probably come down to the last possession. Or if the Texans are up by maybe like a touchdown late, the back door will be open, or a game-tying drive, something like this is just going to come down to one of those plays, in my opinion. So I would lean here to the Colts, but I got to get 6 or I got to get 6.5 if I'm going to be interested in playing it. As of now, I have not played this one, but I would lean towards Indianapolis getting the points. And I just wanted to preface this with that whole thing about the Colts because I'm not even high on them, but this is just too big of a number. It's just too big with the way Houston's been playing. And, man, that was a really tough – man, C.J. Stroud completes 10 passes in that game versus the Packers, and they still cover the 3. How insane is that? Lose on that last-second field goal, but cover the spread. So, and it just goes back to Stroud being good as a dog, but not good as a favorite. They have not been able to cover these big point spreads. Lean here to the Colts. If this were to start flirting with 6.5s and potentially a 7, but I don't think it's going to get there. But if it did, I would look to Indy. I would look to play it, but I don't think it's going to get there. I think there's already looks like there's already sharp movement coming on the Colts side. So Indy would be my lean in that game. All right, Packers at Jaguars. You've got Green Bay minus 4.5 on the road. Totals at 49.5. Looks like we've gotten some over money in this game. Yeah, this is another one of those situational spots. This is what I mean by I think this week's a lot easier. You have some pretty clear spots that you can play on here. Like this to me is a Jaguar spot. I make this line less than 4.5. They get their second win of the season in London, and emphatically they blow out the Patriots. There was never a game that was really close. Packers, very close, tough win at home, game-winning walk-off field goal against the Texans. So big win for them. They've now won a few games in a row. They're looking good. Minus 4.5 on the road. This is exactly the type of game where you come in and you fall a little bit flat, especially if you're not one of these super elite teams, which I don't have Green Bay. I have Green Bay, I think, top 7, but I don't know. I don't know if I consider them one of these elite teams that I'm ready to lay points with on the road like I was all game to lay points with Baltimore last night on Monday Night Football on the road because I know Baltimore is one of the top 2-3 teams in the league. Not sure I'm ready to say that about the Packers if I want to lay more than a field goal with them on the road. And I just think the Jaguars are going to be able to score here. Listen, we could say whatever you want. And I said this a couple weeks ago. You can say whatever you want about the Jags. Trevor Lawrence is playing well. These guys are dropping lots of I mean, there was that game, not the London game, but the game prior to that, I forget who they were playing, where there was 4 touchdown passes got dropped by Lawrence in that game. Excuse me. So he's playing well per the advanced metrics. If you look at his adjusted EPA stats, all that stuff is really not that bad, and it makes but their record and everything makes it look so much worse. I mean, this is a team that if you're going to actually compete this year, you're now sitting at 2-4, 2-5. If you're actually going to compete, you can't lose much more, right? And you're probably fighting for your coach's job in this game. Getting more than 3 and a hook, getting 4.5 here with the Jaguars. I think this is a Jaguar spot. I would lean Jacksonville getting the points against Green Bay. And I'd probably lean over in this game as well because I think both teams are going to be able to score. But that's really my angle for this. The Packers are going to do what they do against a pretty bad Jacksonville defense that plays too much man. But I think the Jags are going to also be able to put up points. So I think they can stay within this number. And when you have a dog like that that's been good offensively that you think in the particular matchup can put up points, that typically leads to higher variance scenarios. And remember, that's good for underdogs. You want to find live dogs. You want high variance spots. You don't want predictable game scripts. That always lends itself to the favorite. So give me the Jags here, plus 4.5. And if this were to tick up any further, I'd look to play it. All right, the Ravens are laying. Oh, man, look at some of these point spread this week, man. The Ravens are laying 9.5 on the road against the Cleveland Browns in a divisional game. Total sitting at 44. Yes, Cleveland, another loss last week in another ugly game. Watson's now toast. He's gone, torn Achilles. No matter what you think of the guy, still in an unfortunate situation. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially that. It's a very significant injury. And they bring in DTR. He also gets hurt. So now it looks like he might not play. So you got Jameis Winston. Guys, this line was 11 for the Browns, and it came down on the news that Winston's probably going to be the starter. He can throw the ball, Jameis Winston. This is not some bum coming off the bench. I know you don't have a ton of weapons here. Amari Cooper's now gone. Tough spot against a very, very. The Ravens are as good as it gets right now. They are the top team in the league as of right now. But man, 9.5 on the road in a divisional game. If we just go back the last 5 years, guys, home dogs of 7.5 or more, just blindly bet them. 48-29 against the spread, 63%. Man, it's really in the NFL. If you're getting a big home dog, a double-digit dog, which we could see at some point this year, but just a dog getting more than a touchdown in the hook, they're almost an auto bet. All right. Cleveland didn't cover last week as a 6.5 point dog, but they lost by 7. They were right there. And you're going to bet I can promise you're going to be getting better quarterback play this week. Now, Winston, I know he throws a lot of picks in his career. I know higher variance, but remember what I just said about higher variance and underdogs. This is a spot. I don't think the Browns win this game, but man, a divisional home dog. You think they're just going to lay down, let the Ravens come in and walk all over them? These guys are professionals. I would have a slight lean here to Cleveland getting the 9.5 points at home. Haven't played it. Don't think I will play it. I liked the Ravens a lot on Monday Night Football. I ended up playing them first half. Worked out. This is a number that I can't lay. Even no matter how much I love the team, I'm not laying almost double digits on the road with any team. So lean to Cleveland in this game, and don't be surprised. I'm not saying they win, but listen, I would not be surprised at all if I'm sitting there on Sunday and this is like a 6-point game with a few minutes left and Cleveland's got the ball. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Or it's a 3-point lead and the Ravens need a first down to ice it. Like, would not be surprised at all if that's the case. So Cleveland plus 9.5. That's where I would go with that. All right, the Jets. Oh, the Jets. The Jets are taking on the Patriots this week. Could it be a Jets victory against the Patriots? They're laying 7 on the road. Total's 41.5. Man, another big road favorite, but I think this is one that you got. If you're going to bet, if you put the gun to my head and said you got to bet Jets Patriots here in week 8, I'm laying the points with the Jets because the Pats are that bad. This is a horrific football team, second worst per my ratings in the league, and I only have them second worst because the Carolina defense is historically bad. It's so bad that they have to be the bottom team, no matter what they're getting on the other side of the ball. But if it wasn't for that, the Patriots would be the worst team in the league by far. This is a team that might not win another game this year. So I got to lay the points with the Jets. Desperation spot. See, your season is on the line. Man, what a rough, that loss against Pittsburgh was just brutal. I watched it. I had Pitt in a teaser with Kansas City, so I was happy for the results. But that was an ugly game. And listen, I thought I was confused, people thinking that Russ was going to be a downgrade, especially against that Jets defense, I personally think is a little bit overrated. But that was not what I expected. They got their doors blown off by Russell Wilson and George Pickens. So really tough loss for the Jets. The Jets are reeling, but this is a spot where, the opponent's a doormat. If you don't go in there and win this game by 14 plus, what the hell are we doing with the Jets? This has to be a 2-touchdown plus win, or the season is cooked, in my opinion, even if they win the game. It's because, you have to be able to win by margin in this league against teams that are bottom feeders. You can't be out there struggling for 60 minutes every week. It starts to exponentially pile up week after week after week. So Jets -7 is where I would lean. But I actually like this over, guys, sitting at 41.5, surprisingly low number. The Patriots are going to be playing from behind here, most likely, and Drake May is going to have to throw the ball a lot. Could lead to higher variance scenarios, whether that be a pick six. The Jets have still a solid secondary, even though they're banged up. But I think they're going to be able to score on the Jets. Like I said, a bit of an overrated defense. I think this goes over 41.5. That would be my stronger lean in this game versus the Jets -7. But I might use the Jets in a teaser leg. We'll get to, actually, the next game is one of the teaser legs that my favorite one of the week, and I need something to pair it with. So I might go Jets -7 or down to -1 here and use this as a teaser leg. And I don't really care that it's a road favorite because the home team is just so bad. And that leads us to the next game, which is Philly-Cincinnati. Eagles +2.5 on the road against the Bengals. And this is my favorite teaser leg of the week. When this was 3, I got to admit, I got very close to sending this out to subs along with the one other play. We have one play sent out so far. But I was very close to sending Philly +3. Just wasn't quick enough. Line immediately was bought down, moved. It was also a juice 3, so I was kind of weighing, like, does this go? Which way does this go? But I've got this line, guys, at 1. So 2.5, I still see value on, but I would have really liked to get the 3. But I think at 2.5, teasing Philly up is an excellent spot. Last week, they seemed to get their mojo back a little bit. Sometimes it just takes for you to face a shitbox team like the Giants. You get to run all over them, destroy them, and then go on with your business. The big thing here is with Hurts and with Saquon Barkley and with this offensive line against the Bengals, who cannot stop the rush. The Bengals cannot stop the rush. This is a bad matchup for them. I know they can score and they can probably throw against this Philly secondary, but Philly's key in this game is time of possession, and they have a path to controlling it with their rushing attack. So I really like this matchup for them. Anytime they've been able to dominate the rushing attack this season, they've won easily. You see Cleveland's decent against the rush. They struggled a little bit more in that game. Against the Giants, no problem. Giants can't stop the rush. Bengals cannot stop the rush. They didn't have that problem last week. Actually, the last 2 weeks, the Giants and the Browns. So now the Bengals have won 2 games in a row, feeling good about themselves, but 2 teams that are completely inept when it comes to running the football. And I know you had Chubb back, but it's not the same. He's just working his way back. They cannot stop this offensive line and Saquon Barkley, and I think that's what's going to happen in this game. So give me the Eagles as a great teaser leg up to 8.5. Certainly should keep this game close. I think they probably win this game outright, but could be a good combo with the Jets. because the Jets, man, listen, the Jets are not losing that. If the Jets lose that game, if Philly catches this teaser leg and the Jets lose to the Patriots, I don't even know. I was just about to make a promise. Do I what? Do I retire? I don't know what to do. The Jets cannot lose that game. So the Jets -7 down to -1, I think, is very safe. And then the Eagles up to 8.5. I like that. I think that's a very solid teaser for week 8. Like I said, I think there's a lot more spots this week that I like. So, all right, next game up. The total, no opinion on the total. 47.5. Slightly into the over there just because I think that they'll both be able to put up points on each other. Falcons -2.5 now on the road against the Buccaneers. Total sitting at 46. The reason why I made that face is because I think this could be maybe your little overreaction line of the week. The Buccaneers lose Evans, they lose Godwin, and now suddenly this line shifts quite a bit. I saw Tampa -2 earlier in the week. Now you're getting Falcons -2.5. Bit of a swing here. Falcons won the first game. Remember, these teams just played. Falcons won that first game in overtime. The thing about this is that Liam Cohen and Baker Mayfield are doing so well together this year that I'm not really sure. I mean, of course it matters to lose Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but it's almost like they're good. They might just find a way. And I'm not too impressed with this Atlanta defense. I've said all year long repeatedly, week after week, I like their personnel. But week after week after week, they don't get any pressure on the quarterback. Geno Smith picked them apart because they could not get any pressure on him. And when he has a clean pocket and he's indoors, he's an excellent pocket passer. And he just destroyed them. They cannot get pressure. So if you're going to tell me that even with reduced weapons, not as good, but you're still going to have that three-headed running back that's been working really well for them right now for Tampa in terms of the rushing game, plus pretty good tight end in Cade Otton, plus you still got a couple of guys out there that you can make use of. Maybe they go pick someone up. The biggest thing, though, in this league is time. If you have time to throw, guys will get open. So I think this is a matchup here where I think the injuries will actually not be there. Like if the Bucs lose this game, I don't think it will be because they don't have Godwin and Evans. Put it that way. In a different matchup, absolutely. But I think in this particular matchup, because the Falcons struggle so much and Baker's good with his feet, he's mobile, they cannot get pressure. So even when the pocket, even if there's a little bit of pressure, he's going to be able to hurry out. They're not good at chasing quarterbacks that are scrambling. I don't know. I think you could see a repeat of last week with what Geno did to them. Bucs get to stay home, gather themselves, recuperate. That was a rough game against the Ravens. I kind of think Tampa is still a good play at 2.5 and maybe a teaser leg up to 8.5. Definitely a solid teaser leg for the Buccaneers up to 8.5. So second straight week as a home dog, but this one I think is a little bit, I don't know. I think it's gone a little bit too far for the Falcons laying 2.5 here in this game. So give me Tampa in that one. All right, the Cardinals at the Dolphins. Arizona got a big win last night. They're now +3 on the road in Miami. Totals at 46.5. Now, the Dolphins are favored, obviously, because Tua's going to come back in this game. What to make of how he comes back, I don't know. He says he won't. He's not retiring. He's not going to wear a Guardian cap. I don't know. Listen, tough situation there for Tua in Miami. They continue to lose games. They're unless they go on some crazy run, they're pretty much out of it. He comes back. Who knows what's going to happen here? The Cardinals defense looked good last night, man. They played inspired football on the defensive end. That was very surprising to me because they've not been good against the rush. Here's another now, whether that was just them coming back home, some home cooking, they haven't been as good on the road, that defense. We'll see because they're going to have another test here against the rush with Miami and Achane and those guys and, Mostert and Wright. They're going to run the ball again, just like they tried to do last week all over the Colts. The Cardinals are going to have to stop it again. I lean Miami here at 3.5. I probably wouldn't play this. But the Cardinals, it's also worth mentioning, I saw a statistic about this. It's been like a few years since they've won back-to-back games. They have not. This is a very up-and-down zigzag team. Big win, get blown out. Big win, get blown out. Win, get blown out. So they beat the Niners. They come back. They get blown out of Green Bay. Now they come home. They beat the Chargers in a very physical, tough game. That was like a bruised and battered game by the end of it. James Conner running all over everybody. Tough to now turn around and go on the road and play a team that's getting their quarterback back. Don't know how effective Tua is going to be, but I got to lean Miami here, laying the 3. It's the situational spot for Arizona is not great, even though Even though there's probably a path for, you can say whatever you want about Miami. Their biggest strength is their secondary. So if they can just do enough to control Kyler on the ground, I don't think he's going to have like these great downfield passing opportunities in this game. They're just going to have to contain his scrambling and his rushing. If they can do that, I think Miami wins the game. So, and on the other side, like I said, great game out of the Cardinals defense last night. But does that mean that they're now suddenly a great defense? No, obviously not. Tua coming back, does he, that offense is largely based on timing and rhythm. Does he maybe need a couple of games or a couple quarters under his belt? Maybe this is a game where they come alive in the second half. Either way, I'd lean Miami -3 here, but nothing too strong. Not super interested in this game. Buffalo on the road in Seattle. The Bills are laying 3 points. Totals at 47. Okay, so here's where you go from like a science to how do you say this? Like you have to weigh the science versus the art in handicapping, because everything tells me from my eye test and everything that I know about football, the Bills are a better team than the Seahawks. I know that. They're a better team. And I'm not too scared with laying points on the road with Buffalo because I think they're a very good team. But the number here to me is wrong. Because I have Seattle +1 in this game per my power ratings. So I can't get to 3. And it's a juice 3. I'm seeing -3, -118, -3, -115. So if you get a 3.5 here, give me Seattle. Take a home dog +3.5. But again, that's the science. But the situation of Seattle coming off of a road win as a dog, now coming back home, and the matchup tells me Buffalo. So this is where you balance the two out. But I think the threshold here, the actionable edge for me would be if this gets to 3.5. Then I'd say, all right, fine, I'll bite on Seattle. So watch this game throughout the week. I like the over as well with the total at 47. By the way, this is going to be, I might do a separate thing on this, but this is going to be the time of year where week 9, 10, we're going to start going back to looking strongly at unders like we did early in the week. A lot of overs have been hitting, a lot of offense coming back. But as teams get beat up and beat down and the season goes on and the wear and tear, the unders will start coming back. That will happen. So Seahawks +3.5 here will be my lean and over in this game if it gets to 3.5. Otherwise, I probably don't touch this game. Like I said, it's a mix here for me. I'm a little bit torn on it because the number says Seattle, but the spot and the matchup to me says Buffalo. So we'll see. But the Seahawks are getting healthier on defense, and that's a good sign for them because they got to be able to stop the run. They did a good job of it against Atlanta. So we'll see how that goes. Saints, New Orleans Saints on the road, +7 against the Chargers. 39.5 is the total in this game. I guess we don't know who's going to be quarterback for the Saints. I'm not sure yet. Chargers coming off of that tough loss last night. Now I have to lay a full touchdown. I think this is a pretty easy spot to take the Chargers in a teaser leg here. Again, teasers. The Saints, you want to tell me they play a competitive game and they bounce back. They've still got so many injuries, man. They've missing weapons, offensive line, defensive injuries. You don't have a quarterback, basically. It's such a brutal spot for a team that started 2-0, looked like they were going to have a promising season. The wheels have completely fallen off in New Orleans. And the Chargers are going to need this win after honestly a bad loss last night. They couldn't run the ball at all. Bad game for Dobbins. Couldn't run the ball on the Arizona Cardinals, which is one of the worst rushing defenses in the league. Couldn't make any big plays. Defense played well, but the game comes down to it at the end. They can't stop them. The Cardinals go down, get a game-winning field goal for the game. You got to be able to get those stops. You got to be able to end those drives. They were not able to do it. Does coming back home help a little bit? Maybe. They don't have a strong home field, but maybe for the players, the comfort of playing at home. But this is an easy matchup, man. You should be able to run on the Saints. You should be able to throw on the Saints with the current state of their defense. And the Chargers defense is good, so you should have no problems here against what's probably going to be, some random bat. I don't know if they're going to start Rattler again or what are they going to do, but there's nothing here for New Orleans. So I think I don't know if I'd lay the 7. There was a 7.5, so I guess it's somebody bought it down, but I think it's a good teaser. Take it down to 1. Tease. I can't see the Chargers losing this game, especially with how they played last night in that game. Excuse me. All right, couple of AFC West teams. The Chiefs, interesting one on the road in Vegas, -10. There it is. Double-digit road favorite. Chiefs -10 against the Raiders. Totals at 41. Wow, low total in this game, right? The Chiefs' defense has been absolutely stellar this season. That unit is the reason they are 6-0. because Mahomes has more picks than touchdown passes. And he, doesn't have much to work with this year. The injuries have really piled on and killed them. But they just somehow find a way every single week. I mean, that game last week, most pros that I know, most sharps, every podcast, every single thing that you could consume, sports betting wise, was telling you to take the 49ers. All I did was tease the Chiefs up to 7.5. Ended up not needing any of those points. They win comfortably. This is a team that just finds a way to get it done. Elite coaching, elite quarterback play. You can say whatever you want about the picks. The guy's incredible. And the defense is so good. The defense is so good, especially in the trenches, stopping the run. Just phenomenal stuff. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to lay double digits on the road in a divisional game. So if you want my lean on this, it's the Raiders plus 10, but I don't like it. Especially based on what happened. You know the storylines around this game, right? The Kermit the Frog thing in preseason or training camp, whatever it was, where the Raiders had the Kermit the Frog joke about Mahomes. They asked Mahomes about it. He says, we'll take care of it during the season or whatever. Obviously, you have the Christmas debacle last year where where the Raiders won outright in Arrowhead. Another embarrassing. I could see the Chiefs wanting to come in there and just beating the hell out of this team. I could see it. But at the same time, the Raiders are going to be up for this game as well. It's a home divisional dog getting 10 points. I got to lean Raiders plus 10 here, but this is a game that I am not going to be touching. Speaking of games that I'm not going to be touching, the Panthers are on the road in Denver getting 9. Man, can you believe that earlier in the year? Remember the first few weeks of the season? You didn't see anything above like 4. And they were talking about how much parity there is in the NFL. Oh, so competitive. All these dogs are winning. Now we got 9s, 8s, 7s, 10s all over the place. 11s. Panthers getting 9 on the road in Denver. 43.5 is the total. Broncos win this game. You want to take minus 455 on the money line? The Broncos probably win this game. I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to check, but I'm pretty sure if I pull up my power ratings, I'll find a point or two of value on Carolina, but I don't care. This is one of the bottom 3. I have them rated as the worst team in the NFL. I wouldn't touch them. No matter what, give me plus 21. Maybe I'll touch them. I'm not going to touch the plus 9. I don't want to lay 9 with Bo Nix and the Broncos. Impressive win for them in New Orleans. But again, I just talked about the status or the current form of the Saints. So, they did what they had to do in Sean Payne's return to New Orleans, but they were basically playing half a team. So, do they cover this minus 9? You put the gun to my head? Probably. The Panthers are that bad, but this is just a game that I just have no interest in touching. And if I was going to play it, yeah, I'd probably just lay the 9. I don't know. I can't get to any number where I like Carolina. They're that bad. They're really just that bad. And the Sharps are going to bet them every week, and they've been getting crushed for like a year and a half doing that. So I don't know what to say about it. The Chicago Bears on the road in Washington. Chicago's minus 2.5 here on the road. This did hit 3, came back down. 44 is your total. Here's another good teaser leg, guys. Overreaction to Jaden Daniels' injury. Did you guys see how Marcus Mariota played? Again, it was against the Panthers, I know, but he played very well. And I think his style of play, if you've ever watched Mariota play back to his Titans days, this is he's going to fit, in my opinion, seamlessly into that offense. He might not be as good of a he's still mobile, but maybe not as explosive a runner as Jaden Daniels is. Maybe at this stage of his career, not as great a passer, but I think they're going to be just fine. I like the Bears, though. I like the Bears' defense. So I think it's a good teaser leg. I wouldn't play this 2.5. I would tease Washington up to 8.5, combine it with something. I think this is a great teaser week. Obviously, as you can tell, a lot of teaser legs that I like. 44 is the total. I would lean over. I still think each team is going to be able to score on each other. I think the Washington defense right now looks a bit better than it is because they just played the Panthers. I still don't think that unit's very good. So they're just going to need somebody to come in. And remember, this is the battle of the number 1 pick and the number 2 pick. I think both guys, Daniels is not in this game, but you've got the number 1 pick, Caleb Williams. I think he's going to really want to play well in this game against the team that obviously picked right after them. So I lean over, but the stronger thing in this game to me is Washington, 2.5, take them up to 8.5. Combine that with like the Eagles, the Broncos, what was the other one? The Jets that I like. I'm telling you, there's lots of good. The good teaser leg. We find a good spot for teaser leg. It's when you get the good number and then also you get the good situational spot. I think you have that on a lot of these this week. All right, Sunday Night Football, Cowboys at 49ers. This is the one that I have a strong opinion on. Cowboys are now +4. I see +4 on DraftKings, +4.5 in some other spots. 46.5 is the total. The Niners dealing with a lot of injuries. This was 5.5, guys, and it got bought down because the Cowboys are coming out of their bye week and all the injuries for the 49ers. Obviously, now they lose Ayuk. Tough. Debo's in the hospital with pneumonia. What the hell is going on over there? Kittle's, Kittle's banged up. Jennings banged up. You've got almost nobody left. I know it seems dire, but here's the thing. You ain't going to need any of those guys. I've talked about this going back to week 3. What was the only max play I've had so far this season was week 3, Ravens against the Cowboys. Then when the Lions went to play the Cowboys, played that immediately when it opened at -3. The Sharps were on the 3.5 on the other side, on the Cowboys side. Whenever the Cowboys face a team that can run the football, they have no answer. The defense, even come out of the bye, is still not 100%. They cannot stop the run, and they cannot run on you. So the 49ers on defense know what they need to do in this game. Very specific. The problem with the Cowboys when they go up against these particular matchups is they cannot control the ball. Time of possession is very important in the NFL, especially when you're going up against a team like the 49ers, like the Ravens, like the Lions. These are all teams that fit a very similar mold. They want to run the ball. They want to beat you up physically. Niners, even without those weapons, the Niners will work something out. Kittle will probably still play in this game. They'll find guys to pitch in here and there. Pearsall will catch balls, I guarantee you. Mason will run all over this defense, and whoever else they have in the backfield back there. The Niners will be fine. I like San Francisco -4. I liked it at 5. I like it now at 4 even better. Strong lean here to the Niners for me. And honestly, the only reason I haven't bet it yet is because I want to see where the floor is. Can I get a 3.5 on this game? I will gladly take it if I can lay 3.5 with the Niners at home. Guys, think about this. Remember the Niners lost that game against the Cardinals 2 weeks ago. Then they lose against the Chiefs, right? That loss to the Cardinals was only the 4th different quarterback to beat Brock Purdy at home. So think about that. I know you have the injuries. I know, I understand. But this team has 3-4 now. The division is slipping away. The Seahawks are in the first place. They're 4-3. You cannot afford to lose any more games, especially against a team that you're clearly better than. They are clearly better than the Cowboys, even with the injuries. They're better on defense. They've got the better quarterback. Brock Purdy will make plays. They've got the better coaching staff. They'll be fine in this game. But think about that. Only 4 guys have ever come in to that place and beaten Purdy. Kyler Murray was the 4th. Before that, it's only been Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Jackson. So Mahomes did it again this year, obviously. Excuse me. But Kyler Murray was the 4th. So do I think Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are going to go in there and get this win? No, I don't care that they're coming out of the bye week. 49ers -4 in that game would be my strong lean. Probably will end up playing it. All right, Monday Night Football. The Giants versus the Steelers. This is a line. Wow. The Giants are getting 6.5 against the Steelers. Totals at 36.5. Listen, I backed the Steelers on Sunday Night Football. I like Russell Wilson. I was talking about how just like, people have kind of like written him off for dead. Saying, oh, Justin Fields, they're doing great. They're 4-2. Why would you bench him? Just last year, Russ led like a 5-game winning streak. They had the Broncos. The Broncos were 6-5. They were like 1 game out of the division. They just beat the Chiefs and the Bills in that winning streak. They were playing great. And then he got benched because of contractual stuff, not even anything on the field. They didn't want to pay him, basically. So Sean Payton benched him. That whole rant on the sideline, bunch of nonsense. The guy can still play. He showed you that on Sunday Night Football. I still think that he can play. But, man, this is a big number still for an offense that we don't know. I mean, that could just be the dead cat bounce of getting a new quarterback in there, and the other team doesn't really, you forget. You don't really know what to do. And I got to say, this might be a bold take. I think the Giants' front is a bit better than the Jets. So if they can get a little bit more pressure, maybe that's a way for them to cover this game. I leaned to the Giants +6.5 here. I leaned to them at +6. So now getting the hook makes me like it a little bit more, but makes me also think, am I missing something on the other side? I do think Pitt is good, and I have this line around. If I tweak my numbers, I can get this to 5.5, but probably a solid 6. But I think the situational spot here is better for the Giants. Daniel Jones as a road dog has been very good. We'll see. I know he got benched late in that game, but the game was out of hand already. That was Neighbors' first game back from the concussion. Maybe he needed some time to get into things. I don't know. Small lean here to the Giants, and definitely lean to the under in this game. It's already taken some under money, so I probably won't play it, but I would have leaned under at 37 here. It's now 36.5. But I know this one is it's a very gross one, but a bit of a lean to the Giants getting 6.5 points on the road in Pittsburgh. I think maybe you have a little bit of a, Wilson has a really good game, but that's still not a really good offense. And, it's hard to tell, right? It's hard to tell at first. The guy comes in, has a great game like that. They put up 35, 37 points, whatever it was. Easy to forget, like, hey, remember, that's not really a great offense. So I think this could be a little bit of a buy low, sell high situation after the Giants get blown out at home. They've been much better on the road all season. Their only wins have come on the road as big road dogs. So lean to the Giants plus 6.5. That's the slate, guys. All right. Thanks for watching. Listen, don't forget, I'm partnered with the Action Network now. All my NFL free plays go up on the app. I've even got an NBA free play up on there tonight. Links down in the description if you want to join. If you use my link down there, obviously that helps us out. So if you're interested in that, it's a completely free app, obviously. They have a lot of good articles on there, content, and then all my free plays go on there. So you can get them early. You can beat some lines before I make these videos. So check that out if you're interested, and I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.